I'm here with Carnage, the Executioner, known offstage as Terrell Woods. He's an in-demand rapper, beatboxer, producer. He's collaborated with hip-hop heavyweights Aesop Rock, R.A. the Rugged Man, and Idea and Abilities. And in 2019, he released his latest album, Ravenous. Thanks so much for sitting down and taking the time out of your day to chat.
Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.
A mutual friend of ours, Mike Michael, teaches at the same location where I teach guitar lessons, and I definitely saw you and him and Jacqueline Elton in Salty, like way back in the day at Barbette.
Oh
So
yeah, that's when we were cutting our teeth. That's when we were just getting the Salty thing really popping. Yeah, like 2000, somewhere between 2008 and 2012, it would have been probably somewhere in that,
Awesome.
which is a long time ago.
Yeah, and it seems like you were certainly doing tons of looping and effects then, and I imagine your pedal board has expanded exponentially
Yes,
since then.
yes, it has, and I'm way better at it now too. So yeah, it's been a great journey. And
That's
Salty is
awesome.
still at it. We're going to drop a live album in the beginning of the year, early in the year, and yeah, we just did an outdoor performance in Jacqueline's backyard, where we invited up to 15 people to come and sit while we recorded a live album. So should be coming out soon.
Fascinating. Okay, so I
Yep.
I saw the announcement and I was thinking like you were just recording outdoors purely for safety reasons. I didn't know that it was a live album as well.
Yeah, we were doing everything. We wanted to do a concert. We wanted to be safe with it. We wanted to, put it on in front of some people, and then we were like, we're a live group. We're a live band. So we decided after a lot of contemplation and a lot of tugging back and forth that we are best captured in a live setting. So if we play live, we might as well record the audio and then mix it down and do an album like that. And I think it's gonna really be a great advantage because not a lot of groups do that, and that's how we shine. I feel like when we try to plan too much, we get in our own heads, and then when we don't do something right, we think we messed the whole song up. And it's like, why don't we just kind of make it do what it does and see how it turns out? And I personally like that approach better. So, my bandmates might argue and put me in the headlock for saying that, but I really feel like we shine best like that when we have a focus, but we improv around the focus. That's how we sound best. So that's what we did
That's
mostly.
awesome.
Hmm.
It's so have you finished the recording aspect of
Yep,
it?
it's done. We
Okay.
did it that was the one take. We did it. There's one song that we were really obsessing about that we tried to get an arrangement for, and it's the one song we don't like. It's the one. This the one we all agreed that it was like, we didn't pull that one off, and I think partially it is. I think it's partially because we tried to plan it out. The ones we like, we just kind of did them. So I don't know. Like I said, they might put me in a headlock for saying this, but either way, we're dope. I think what we do is really dope. It's original, and it's gonna turn out either way. So whatever people's expectations are, prepared to either get rid of them or we'll live up to them because we're an expectationless group. I feel like I think you're gonna get something slightly different from us every time, and it's one of my funnest collaborations to embark on. So yeah, there we go.
So do you have a release date yet for that album?
Um, I'm hoping second week in January, maybe 2021.
Hmm.
So yeah, I'm thinking like right after New Year's, before it gets too far into the year. I think it would be, especially keeping up some momentum based on us just doing a live performance in August. Then we're gonna get together and shoot shoot. These are all my suggestions I threw at them, and they said they liked it when I threw them at them. So maybe, hopefully, they won't change their minds. um, kind of doing a video series where we drop 3 videos leading up to the release. So it would be like, because that's one of the things we don't have. We don't have a lot of online presence. because we did what we did, but doing stuff online wasn't as big when we first started as it is now. An online presence with video was not as big. It was about you doing a real music video on YouTube and then just putting out an album and hoping people would buy it. But now everything kind of revolves around how much video social media content you have. And that's what we don't have, because we took a 4-year break too, from the group. And did she do something? We took a 4-year break from performing, 4.5-year break from performing. So we, by the time we came back, it was all about online video. So I'm thinking we're going to get together, make 3 videos, and then drop a new video, one a month leading up to the release. So October, November, December, album in January. That's what I would hope that we're going to do. So that's probably, hopefully, what we're going to do.
That's awesome. I look forward to hearing that smart. For sure.
Yeah, seeing and hearing it, because it's going to be there's going to be video for it too. So
it seems like that's an increasingly common model too, as far as releasing music. It's like not just here's the album front to back, one release date. It's like a video for each song is kind of a must.
Yep.
Seems like for a lot of artists.
Yep. Or at least for a fair amount of them, and what's going to be cool about our videos is that the songs that we record the videos for won't be exactly executed the way they were on the live release. So every time you hear us, it's going to be a slightly different experience. Sometimes the songs are faster, sometimes they're longer, sometimes they're shorter, sometimes they're slower, sometimes they're heavier. I really like the way that group operates, as far as the improvisational feel all the time, where you can watch us 4 days in a row and you won't get the exact same show 4 times. And it really, and that's what I do with my live performances too. I make all my own beats live, so every performance I do is different from the one I did before and the one I'm going to do after. So it's a model that really works well for me. I really like it. It keeps me on my toes, and it keeps me from getting bored. Like to super duper plan something out, just kind of, it's like, anybody can like practice 10 times a week, but do you know your stuff well enough that you can go in and just do a loosely structured, focused performance of any of your songs at any given time. That's the challenge I like to throw at myself. So, but that's me.
Well, it seems like that kind of requires a group of people who are all like really strong improvisers and able to react in their own right. And
we're all.
It sounds like the group is for sure.
Yeah, so. Separate and together, we're super strong improvisers, and we definitely we love it. We embellish the improvisational, coming up with whatever we're going to do on the spot type of feel. We love it.
Mm-hmm. And it seems like you've been very active with your solo live streams as well, as far as the video thing, since the pandemic, right?
Yeah, I have, and try not to overdo it, but yeah, I have, I've been averaging at least 1 a month, maybe 2, depending on, what people's requests are. And most of those are requests by people. Somebody will hit me up and say, do you want to do my event? I've only done maybe 2 on my own, just because I wanted to do them. Mm-hmm. Every other one you've seen was because I was invited to do an event, which has been great, because it shows me that that I'm in demand. It really. So when you said sought after, what did you say? In demand. You said something. The way you said it, I was like, oh, okay. I really don't refer to myself like that. But when you said that, it put it into perspective, because I am, I feel like I am. I think what I do is original and people appreciate it, and it's sought after, in a bunch of different mediums, whatever type of event or whatever type of charity, people want me to hop in and do something. So it's pretty fun. It's been a great experience, and it's been a blessing to be able to stay this active during the pandemic, because I know some people haven't been that fortunate.
That's awesome to hear, because like you said, a lot of people either they're just not there yet on their kind of their technological journey, or they're just not in that place personally, and it's like the pandemic has basically meant the death of all the work that they had lined up.
Which is,
So
man, it's sad to even think that that would be. But I feel like this is a time where we all needed to contemplate on how to reinvent ourselves. And there's a line in a song that I wrote about it's called Get Creative, and I'm basically talking about let's stop complaining about what we can't do and figure out what we can do. And the last line on the song is something like write a song, learn a trade, but quit claiming you're so tortured. Instead of taking it back to the way that it was, go forward. And that's I feel I live by that. I think other people should try doing that too. They'd probably be a lot happier.
A lot of guitar players probably are very curious about your whole pedal board setup and looping and everything. And I kind of want to ask about just where your journey as a beatboxer began. All the sounds and flexibility of your voice as an instrument. How did you get started in that?
Well, I started beatboxing when I was like 10 years old. So in true essence, beatboxing was the first thing I ever did that was actually real music making, which is kind of a funny statement. Growing up, I wanted to be a drummer first. And I also wanted to be a turntablist. I wanted to be a DJ. But those are things I couldn't afford. I couldn't afford a drum set, and I couldn't afford a pair of turntables. So beatboxing came around just at the right time. It came around, and I was blown away by it when I heard Fat Boys and Dougie Fresh. And I was like, that's what I'm gonna do. But it wasn't one of those things where I always tell the story. It was never one of those things where I was like, I'm gonna become a beatboxer and I'm gonna be on TV. It wasn't nothing like that. It was just like, I really liked it, and I really just practiced all the time. I did it all the time, and I wasn't actually even saying to myself, I gotta go practice. It wasn't like when my friends were outside playing basketball, I was in the house practicing beatboxing. It was just something I did natural. It was as natural as walking. It was as natural as going to the bathroom or taking a shower. I would just do it all the time. And I think it was around maybe age 12 that I felt like I noticed that I was pretty good at it. It was those times were coming around where people wanted to rap to beatboxing, and I would do it. I would beatbox for rappers. And that's when I realized I was good at it. So it wasn't even something that I was like, oh, I'm good now, or I've reached my pinnacle. It was just like, it was kind of like battle tested. I was doing it, and then I had to show it, and I showed it, and people were like, man, you can beatbox like that? And I'm like, yeah, I guess so. So before becoming a rapper, I would beatbox for other people to rap. In like junior high school, that was like a big thing. I would beat on the table, make beats on the table. So that was the closest to drum playing I was able to do. And then the beats that I would do on the table, I translated into my, 2 or 3 year acquired beatbox skills. And then I was beatboxing complex drum patterns and stuff like that, and putting different sounds together. And then right when I figured I was good at beatboxing, I started rapping too. I started teaching myself how to rap. So those things kind of overlapped. I got to a point where I was like, well, I like words. I can, come up with some stuff too. I don't need to just beatbox for everybody else to rap. Let me see what I can do with a pencil and a piece of paper. And I started writing lyrics when I was about 12. I started getting more serious about it when I was 13. And I would say by the time I was 16, I had a collection of rhymes in a folder that I would carry around with me everywhere. And I would pull them out anytime I was challenged to have some lyrics, or, I just memorized a lot of them. And I would be in school, and we'd be rapping in school, and MCs would think they had that flow. And then I would come with mine, and it'd be like, oh, well, he's kind of advanced because I studied it. It's like what you said, I would study. I've studied the art of MCing. I studied the art of rhythmic patterns. I studied the art of inflection and how to put the words into sentences that I could be expressive with, that relayed some type of emotion. when I was rapping, even if it was battle raps that had emotion in it. So yeah, I was just always on a journey to perfect my craft. But I got more conscious about the actual perfecting of it once I started rapping. That's when I started saying I want to work on this. Beatboxing was just fun, and I got good at it by default. But rapping, I really put a little bit more or a lot more emphasis on being good at it because I never wanted to be whack. I didn't want to be out there rapping and then have somebody be like, "Man, that rhyme is whack," you know. I would say, maybe one day Chuck D, who was my favorite rapper from Public Enemy, I'm like, maybe one day Chuck D would hear me, and I want Chuck D to say I'm dope, So that's kind of how I wrote.
And who at that time, like, who are some of the other, idols or heroes of yours, both in terms of like the rhythm or the flow of the lyrics, and also just, writing lyrics into
Chuck D
itself?
was my number one. Chuck D became my number one. He became the guy who I wanted to more impress or wanted to kind of I just appreciated everything he stood for once I started dissecting his lyrics. And luckily for me, Public Enemy's, the best record in hip hop history, It Takes a Nation of Millions to Hold Us Back, they included the words in the liner notes. So I studied Chuck D. I studied him. Ice-T was another rapper I really studied because I had Rhyme Pays was his cassette, and the liner notes had the lyrics in there. So Ice-T and Chuck D got my study, and then NWA hit, and I really liked Ice Cube. I thought Ice Cube was super intense and creative, and later on I found out that Ice-T or Ice Cube was super influenced by Chuck D. So it made
Gotcha.
sense that I liked Ice Cube, because he was influenced by my favorite rapper. So I would say during that time, my favorite rappers were Super Lover C, who is a rarely mentioned MC who was really, really crazy with rhythmic patterns. So he's the one who made me want to write my first rap. So I wrote my first rap based on Super Lover C's delivery and patterns. And then Chuck D is who made me want to be a rapper. Like, one made me write a rhyme and influenced me to have a style. And then the other influenced me to say, I'm going to be a rapper. I'm going to do it, and I didn't have any expectations. I didn't say one day I'm going to get signed. So it wasn't one of those types of things. It was like, I'm going to be a rapper and I'm going to study it so I can be good at it. And that's about what I told myself. And Chuck D was who I was influenced to become a real MC by. And then other rappers I really liked. I liked LL Cool J a lot. I liked Slick Rick a lot. I liked KRS-One a whole lot. Like I said, Ice-T, Big Daddy Kane, Cool G Rap, MC Shan. Yeah, those were some of my mains, And then later on, we got our Busta Rhymeses and our Redmans and our Method Mans and our Inspector Dex from Wu-Tang, and those guys all really, really had styles. Ghostface Killer, Raekwon, these are MCs that I really listened to and studied how they wrote, and said, if these rappers can rap like this, what could I listen to these guys and learn, on my own and change into my own thing. And then a few years later, Eminem came, and Eminem influenced rhyme patterns and inflection within the rhyme structure. More emotion, crazier patterns and deliveries, and how many syllables can you rhyme in a sentence? Eminem was a big proponent in me learning how to write syllables and really write syllables out. So yeah, those are some of my main influences right there. Nas also, later on Jay-Z. These are guys I listen to everything, man. Too Short, E40. I was coastless. I like the West Coast, East Coast, Hieroglyphics, Delta Funky, Homo Sapien, Souls of Mischief, Casual. Then Outkast. Outkast. I was really into Outkast. First album was huge for me. So yeah, those are a lot of people who I listened to a lot, and I studied how they delivered, and learned things about them that I could kind of turn into my own thing. So I don't feel like I imitated them, but I learned what they did and said, I'm going to do my best rendition of all of these guys. So I became a melting pot of all of those different types of styles that I studied.
And what was the scene like, kind of when you were cutting your teeth, so to speak? Was this were you growing up in Chicago, or was this in the Twin
No,
Cities at this time?
I was in Minnesota by then. Chicago, I was born in Chicago. I didn't move to Minnesota till I was like 4 or 5. And I mean, so then there was no scene. But I started noticing a scene in like no, not two, like 1986, 87. The scene started to I started to take notice in what was going on with the scene, but I was so young. I couldn't really be a part of it. I could just kind of go to a show and maybe, if I got lucky, I would run into, like when Public Enemy came to town. That was my first real concert that I was able to go to, and I think that was in '89. 89, 90 or something like that. Oh, I forgot DOC. The DOC was a big influence of mine too. Can't forget him. But yeah, around that time, DOC and Public Enemy were huge influences. And then I got to go and see Public Enemy live for the first time, and it was incredible. And that was my first concert experience. My first major label concert. I had gone to one or two local shows that I was too young to really participate in. And I was like 13 or 14 years old. I was super young. But I was noticing a scene was establishing itself, and it was mainly happening in North Minneapolis. And I was in and out of living in North and South Minneapolis. So I started to I would hear rappers and they would say, I'm from the North Side Minneapolis. The IRM crew with Truth Maze, and who was back then, he was B Fresh. He was a beatboxer, and he influenced my beatboxing on multiple levels, adding different sounds while I beatbox at the same time, and like rapping and using my voice as I beatboxed. He influenced that. But really noticed that North Side Minneapolis was establishing a scene. And that's where I would say the earliest incarnations of Minnesota-based hip hop were taking place in North Minneapolis. And then it extended out as North Minneapolis rappers and performers started being able to play coffee shops and small venues that allowed hip hop to take place. So yeah, that's kind of what it was.
What were some of the spaces or venues, let's say at that time, where you got to kind of test out your skills and learn on the fly?
I think one of the first places I tested out my skills was in high school hallways. That was my venue. A couple times I rapped and I feel like I failed. I was like, that was whack. And I was like, next time I get an opportunity to rap in front of somebody, I'm going to be nasty. And, shortly after that, I was able to rap in front of some people in the hall, and I kind of stole the show that day. And I was like, oh, okay, that's all I needed to do was be confident, So the venues I really perfected my styles in were like high school hallways and the mirror, rapping in the mirror, and rapping in the mirror to make sure I looked cool. that was something I did. I just didn't want to look like an amateur. So it wasn't until much later where I was able to actually play a venue. I didn't play my first venue until I want to say late 1993, early 94. But like I said, I started really getting into MCing in 87. So there's a big gap in actually being able to play a show and when I started learning. So yeah, I got on my first real stage and rocked my first real stage in like 1994, very early 94. So yeah, and that was the Glam Slam. In downtown Minneapolis. There was I guess it was Prince's club. They said Prince owned it. It was rumored to be owned by Prince at that time. But the Glam Slam was the place I first got on stage, and I rocked it that night because I was ready. I know I rocked it. I had people going like this. I saw it. So, but I had, basically 7 years to hone that. So I better be good after 7 years, man. What. So yeah, that's kind of how it happened.
Well, it's just fascinating that there are so many other art forms where I think people don't necessarily think to like prepare to work on their stage persona or their
Mm,
performance skills too. They just
mm.
maybe find out, after they've done it, like, oh, that didn't work, or
Yeah,
I didn't know what to do with the rest of my body when I was on,
right.
playing in front of people or whatever. That's
Yep.
super cool that you were like preparing that whole time
Yeah, man.
for
I,
the
I was
moment.
I was studying it. Yeah, I was like, I'm not gonna be whack. That's what I would just be like. I'm not gonna be whack. I'm gonna have dope rhymes. I'm not gonna stare at the floor the whole time when I rap, like a lot of people I saw do. I'm not gonna hold the mic down here. I'm
Mm.
gonna hold it up here, and I'm gonna project, and I'm gonna use the hand that I'm not holding the mic with to emphasize the words that I'm spitting. And by '94, I was ready, and I was doing the thing. I was nice with it in '94. I would say, you know, by then I felt, and that's when I recorded my first demo too.
Mm.
I was able to record my first real studio demo. Uh, and yeah, that was in late '93, early '94. It was right
Mm.
after Souls of Mischief hieroglyphics dropped. Yep, because they were an influence on my style too. So yep, yeah, it was
And is
around
that
that time.
is that demo still floating around out there in the world? I
The
mean,
songs that we did, I put on a couple mixtapes.
mm.
And people have heard them and been like, "Yo, those songs when you were T Swift, man, those were crazy." It was me and my partner Steve, aka DJ Excalibur, and we he was a DJ and a rapper, so he was like a challenge. I was like, "Yeah, I can't have my DJ be better than me on the mic," and he was really good. He was really good. So it was like he was a wild card. He would say stuff sometimes, and I'm like, "Man, if I don't." If I don't come with it, then my DJ is gonna blow me out the water. And that's kind of, yeah. That was another reason I got good, is because I had a partner who was nasty.
Mm.
My partner was really nasty. So yeah, I had a lot of really cool influence around me, and I feel like if I didn't get good, then I just wasn't talented, and I wasn't supposed to do this. There was
Mm.
too many things set up in place for me to grasp onto and use as vehicles to drive to the point of excellence. And if I didn't take those cues, then what good am I when it comes to making music? So I took advantage of all that was around me, and that's what you hear. A culmination of the last two albums is lots of years of surrounding myself with people who I studied and learned from, and pushed myself to be as good as, if not better, because I didn't want to be the sore thumb. I didn't want to stick out like the sore thumb, the whack guy. I didn't want to be that dude. So that's what you get now. That's why I'm Minnesota mean and I'm ravenous because of all of that.
Well, it's fascinating. I think like Ravenous is an interesting place to kind of jump into your songwriting and your career too, because it seems like from the first listen, it's a very coherent package. Like it seems like beginning to end, like these songs you must have written them specifically for that album.
Um, it happened by trial and error, and then it happened with astute planning. So it's when it started, it was me. Uh, the whole process started with me feeling like the scene was taking me for granted. And that was in 2014. I started to feel like that. Um, so I came up with the concept of ravenous, and it was like ravenous and Minnesota mean at the same time, and they
Hmm.
were they were kind of they kind of at that point they went hand in hand. So I had those concepts, and then there were a few other songs that I was writing at the same time. And what I realized was that it sounded really whiny. It sounded really whiny and complaining. It sounded like I was just, bitter. When I put everything that I was writing at the time together, it all sounded bitter. So I was like, this isn't a good reflection of who I want to be. Yeah, I do feel taken for granted, but do I want to actually display it like this? And a few people told me, man, I think you can do a little, you can tighten it up a little better than that. You don't have to sound so angry about where you're at because you're actually in a good spot. So a couple people reminded me, a few key players reminded me that I wasn't in a bad spot. So, it wasn't worth throwing the whole bathwater out with the baby in it. Figure out what you have that's good and talk about what needs to change based on what you think you deserve. It's kind of what the change of it turned into. It was less about me saying, "Hey, y'all are taking me for granted," as much as it became me saying, "I'm good. I worked for this, and what am I going to do? What do I need to do in order to show the people that I'm worthy of what I claim I possess?" I wanted more notoriety, but I needed to prove why I deserved the notoriety that I was looking for. So that became the mission. So it became less bitter and less whiny and more about me proving myself. And who do you have to prove yourself to most other than yourself? So it was like a juxtaposition that I kind of placed myself in, and it kind of happened by default. I didn't like feeling the way I was feeling, even though it was influencing songs. It when I stepped away from it, it didn't feel as good as I thought it would feel. So what I said was, okay, I have these songs here. Let me just start putting a couple songs together for each type of project and then see what happens later on. So then I had a few songs that ended up being on this cassette tape that I put out in 2015 called The Ultimatum. So some of the stuff that was, starting with the Ravenous and the Minnesota Mean stuff went on the Ultimatum release. Then in 2016, 2014 to 15, I was working on the Ultimatum. Then in 2015 to 16, the Minnesota Mean movement record happened. So I put the Minnesota Mean song out, and a lot of people liked it. People were like, "This is cool. It's saying something that a lot of us have thought, but we've never articulated it in this way." And then a friend of mine said to me, he was like, "I think you should focus on that song because now Minnesota Mean is bigger than you. It's a movement now." And he said that, and I was like, the Minnesota Mean movement. It just, it clicked. So in about 3 weeks, I put together enough songs to put out the Minnesota Mean movement album. I just kind of was like, all right, I'm going to make an album, and I'm going to do it quick, really quick. And I did it. I felt like I was striking while the iron was hot with the song Minnesota Mean. So that's kind of how it happened. It was like I had Minnesota Mean already. I had Ravenous, but Ravenous wasn't fitting Minnesota Mean. So I was like, let me put this to the side and see what happens with that later, because it's a good song. Let me focus on things that would fit the Minnesota Mean concept. So then I came up with the songs for that. And then once those were done, I was like, okay, I got that done. What's left over here? Okay, I still have Ravenous. I have Not Just the Name. I had a couple songs that were coming up right after Respect the Name had come out in 2012. So I was kind of writing a sequel to Respect the Name when some of these other things happened. Then I got laryngitis and I couldn't record. I lost my voice for like 8 months.
Oh my goodness.
So I just kept writing, and then by the time I was done, I had enough material to put out an EP. So then that's when the songs in 2014-15 happened, and that was preparing me for what was going to happen with the Minnesota Mean movement in 2016. So that's kind of what happened. Minnesota Mean dropped, and I got a really good response from it in general. It was actually better than I thought it was going to be. And part of it was because I toured a lot. So when the Minnesota Mean movement started, I started thinking about how to make it metaphorical, like the metaphorical context of it. Minnesota Mean movement. Move with it. Take it. Grab the movement, the Minnesota Mean movement, and take it out and spread the word. And I did 5 Minnesota Mean movement tours before I dropped the Ravenous album, which came slightly after. But I worked Minnesota Mean as much as I could, and that's where I feel like I developed a knack for self-promotion, like figuring out how to make an album stay relevant for as long as you possibly can, because a lot of people drop a record and nobody's talking about it after 4 or 5 months, and I was like, people like this record, I like this record, it's I'm touring on it, let's keep it moving. So I just kept coming up with different products and things, different merchandising products like hats and shirts and hoodies and all different kind of drink coasters and koozies and all these different weird things that I started coming up with to brand the album next to those things, and that kept the momentum going. Then in about, let me see, it was 2017, I started to kind of look more at my weight, and I realized that over the time, from when I had lost like 100 pounds some years before, because I was really, really big. I'm not small now, but I'm not nearly as big as I was. But I had lost a lot of weight and I slowly gained it back. And I started looking at pictures and things, and I was like, wow, I'm just really, really big, and I need to figure out how to do something that that allows me to maintain a better weight, a more comfortable weight. I still had Ravenous sitting here. So then that's where it clicked. It was like, oh, so Ravenous could become about my movement to figure out how to maintain my weight, but also a metaphor for being ambitious and being a hustler. So then it all kind of came together. So Ravenous is really about how to overcome overconsumption. Just because something is presented to you, that doesn't mean you need to take it. Just because, you have a feeling about something doesn't necessarily mean that is exactly the reality of what's going on. You have to figure out how to differentiate between what's real and what's just inside your head. And how do you do that unless you're self-reflective? And that all really came together nicely when I decided to go plant-based. So it was like, okay, so now I can talk about this journey of becoming plant-based and figuring out how to maintain a healthy weight, and juxtapose that next to going out and working to get your just due, but not complaining about what you don't have, being appreciative of what you do have, but never stopping the grind. So that's what Ravenous became. And luckily, I had some really key players again in my corner who taught me some things. A couple rapper friends of mine went plant-based before I did, and they were talking about it. They were saying, we watched this movie, What the Health, and we learned about being vegan, and there's vegan restaurants and stuff coming up around. So there is a way that I realized there was a way that I could actually eat more healthy, but still have some of the, comfort foods that I liked, that I'd become accustomed to from years of conditioning and training. And again, I was lucky because my partner has been vegetarian for 20 something years. So we just both at the same time were like, why don't we just both go plant-based? And then we did that. And this is what you got. We went plant-based, we watched What the Health, and we were like, no more animal products. And in the first 3 months of us being plant-based, I lost 40 pounds in the first 3 months. And I was like, well, what use is there to ever go back to eating animal products? This is the golden goose right here. This was the ticket. I just needed to realize that what I was consuming was also contributing to my frustration. Once I stopped eating animal products, everything just kind of culminated into my mind and my creative process of coming up with a concept that would fit the whole journey. And Ravenous just kind of organically came together because of that. But I don't think it would have happened the same way had I not gone plant-based. I think that was a driving force in it. too. So it cleared my mind, but it also gave me a concept to springboard off of. And the song Ravenous that I had actually written in 2014 didn't reach its highest relevance point until 2017. Or actually 2018, because that's when I made the album and started selling it. So it took 4 years for that concept to kind of present itself. So everything was kind of a gradual movement into the place I am now. It was not Respect the Name to Ultimatum, from Ultimatum to the Minnesota Mean Movement, from the Minnesota Mean Movement to Ravenous, and that's where I'm at now. So it was just kind of, and I would say the best out of all of that is the Ravenous point, because I'm the most positive and the most self-reflective and the most changed in that movement. The Ravenous movement has been the most successful, and it's proven to be the most viable in general too. There's nothing that I do that doesn't encompass the Ravenous philosophy. So it really works out. It really worked out well. So that's how you got that cohesiveness that you heard. And I'm glad you heard that, because it became deliberate. The only 2 songs I had that ended up on the Ravenous record before the Ravenous record came out were Not Just a Name and Ravenous. And then the next one I came up with after that was Maintain. And then I started putting together, okay, this is what this record is going to be about. And I feel like I got 14 really good songs that have a cohesiveness about them based on that.
It's fascinating because it's such a wonderful set of connections that you make between, themes of like literal hunger, but then also hunger for your drive to succeed in a career and your personal craft and all of that. Mm-hmm. And then maybe a little bit touching on like consumerism in music as well, like kind of the downside of that hunger from a capitalist kind of point of view and all
it's
that.
All there.
It's great.
Yeah, and I realized that you can't maintain a healthy sense of self thinking that everything you want you need to have, or you're going to be mad if you don't have it. You can't survive like that. You can't survive like that. And again, I had a couple key players, that sometimes people will say things and they might not even know that they're saying something is going to totally change you. And like I feel like I'm really good at like finding the thing within the discussion that is going to be the most meaningful and making something out of that. And I was able to do that. I had really good friends and really good people around me, and strong influences, and I took them on and made them out of something. So it was the timing was there. It needed to happen, and it happened at the right time. And it also prepared me for now. Like I was ready. I was kind of ready for COVID when it so to speak. COVID didn't slow me down. I already had a drive. I already had a mission, and I had been on this mission since 2016, really. All right, now relax.
Who is
maybe
that?
Chill out. This is Francesca.
Francesca,
yes,
you were adorable.
Yeah, maybe she'll chill out a little bit now that hey.
It sounds like the way you see it, Ravenous is like kind of the most holistic vision of like you as a person and your journey and your career. But I also find it fascinating that the previous album seems like it's more relevant kind of culturally than ever right now, just on this whole idea of like passive, conflict avoidant Midwestern culture and often how that kind of gets in the way of, people trying to be acknowledged for their skills and their craft. And
it was crazy to come up with the Minnesota Mean Movement and having people say, wow, this is so relevant. This is so real. This is so, and like even people from different states, different cities, they were like, man, we feel like Minnesota Mean is like is what's going on in our cities too. There's people, a couple people from New York hit me up and was like, yo, we seeing that type of thing too out here. And I'm like, wow, you know, but it was really noticeable how people, like a few key people hit me up and were really appreciative and vocal about they were vocal about their appreciation of the Minnesota Mean song. And I felt like I had cracked into something. I tapped into something. And I was like, okay, let me figure out how to deliver this in a way that's still inviting to people. I don't want to necessarily off-put Minnesota. You know, I don't want to tell people in Minnesota that, hey, you suck, so I'm not messing with you anymore because you don't give me the props I deserve. But one of the true things I can point out is I sold a lot of Minnesota Mean merchandise out of Minnesota. Outside of Minnesota, a lot of stuff. You know, some of my worst attended shows were my Minneapolis shows. Seriously. And I'm not saying that as a slight towards Minnesota or Minneapolis or anything like that, but I just really get heavily embraced everywhere. But it's been a struggle to get the kind of notoriety I felt like I've worked for here. But the difference between now and how I feel now and then is I was bitter before. I'm not bitter now, you know, and I think it took me traveling the world and going different places and seeing what reactions could be like to get to this point. I had to get out of here. You know, I had to hit the road and I say it in what is maintain where I'm at now is just a bus stop in my journey of life. You know, like where I was at the point of the Minnesota Mean thing was just a place that I didn't necessarily need to see myself as being in for the rest of my life. And when I realized that, I hit the road and it turned into something else. And so now I come home and I go, well, it is what it is. You know, you don't have to write about me every day. You don't have to talk about me every day. You don't, whatever, because now, you know, I have fans in Asia. I went to Asia. You know, I still have, you know, a following in France. I have some people in France who still hit me up from when I used to go out there with Desdemona. And I'm just, what I was looking for in Minnesota, I found in so many other places that it is what it is now. Let's go. You know? So yeah, shout out to Minnesota and shout out to everybody out here who supports me. But it's not just about y'all. It's about anybody who wants to show the love that I feel like I've worked and built my skill up to be able to claim. But, you know, I had to be internally motivated too. And I'm very internally motivated. It's not all about the external. So when I took that external out, I found that I was able to say and do what I needed to do in a way that benefited me first and foremost. But then I could go out and say certain things to other people. I can look at what other people are doing and say, that's not working. That's not going to work for you because I went through that. You know, there's a friend of mine in Milwaukee who I've been trying to, my man, Tayamu Danku, shout out to him, Hecatone member, been trying to tell him to, you know, not be so hard on the people in Milwaukee because he feels like, you know, the way he feels about Milwaukee is the way I felt about Minnesota. And I was like, it's not going to get you more Milwaukee followers to say it like that. Right. You know, so now I just let the words and the actions speak, and they're speaking, you know. And then when George Floyd was killed, there became a new interest again in Minnesota Mean. So not only am I getting support and seeing movement in Ravenous merchandise, but Minnesota Mean started moving again. It had a resurgence. It was breathed new life into. So now I have these two things that I've been working on for the past 4 years that are both doing pretty well. I can use both of them to make whatever point it is I need to make and do whatever type of show, that whatever concept, you know. All of those songs are so relevant right now from both records,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and how many people get to say they have an album that they're still selling 4 years later? I don't know a lot of people who are, you know, and Ravenous is, oh, oh,
You're back.
Ravenous, yeah, and Ravenous I started selling in 2018, and it's still like, so how many more years do I have on Ravenous?
Mm-hmm.
You know, based on Minnesota Mean still moving 4 years later, 4 years and some change. So I think that's also a testament to the time I put into each concept. You know, like I really kind of sat down and mapped them out. And even though Minnesota Mean happened really quick, I put it together really quick. It was it was a festering or dormant concept that just needed to be fleshed out a little bit. And you know, by the time Minnesota Mean really started to gain its momentum, I didn't feel as strongly about it as I did before. That whole bitter thing kind of went away. It was like, because I traveled. It was the traveling really helped. You know, so by the time people were like, "Yo, Minnesota Mean," I'm like, "Yeah, it's dope. I got some other stuff coming up." You know, so yeah, that's kind of how it happened.
I definitely feel like you know, the lyrics, especially from you know, from Minnesota Mean, and the video that goes along with the title track.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I think a lot of
Mm-hmm.
younger artists probably would resonate with those lyrics too. And just this whole idea of, like, you know, do you have to be, like, how exceptional do you have to be in your craft or your skills, or whatever it is, as, you know, a black person or a person of color, to be kind of acknowledged by the, you know, the white Midwestern kind of hipster scene.
Unless times have changed for them,
Right.
things may
Right.
have shifted. But I'm not a young artist anymore, so I can't speak towards it. I'm an older, established artist, and I would say where I'm at now is somewhere I worked to get, but thought that I would be further
Mm.
with all the work I put in. You know, thought, past tense. Now it's like, it is what it is. I'm where
Mm-hmm.
I'm at, and where I'm at is fine. But I don't know that the new crowd of younger, uh, you know, younger listeners feel the same way about younger black artists who are coming up. It might be different for them, and
Mm.
I think that might be a good exploration concept. That might be a good concept to explore. Do younger artists who are coming up in Minnesota now feel the same way I felt when I was coming up? And you know, are they experiencing some of the things, same things that got me to where I became, you know, uh, insistent upon trying to prove myself and my
Mm-hmm.
worth? Are they in the same spot? I think that might be a nice interview, a different thing to throw out, because it
Mm-hmm.
might be different now. Um, and I know that you know, when I say those things, people, you know, and it's usually white people who, and white people don't, for the most part, don't like to talk about race. It's just not something. It's just not something they or y'all or whatever like to
Mm-hmm.
do. You know, why don't we just stop talking about it and it'll go away? Type of thing. It's like, nah,
Right.
that's not the way it works, because you don't have to get reminded that you're white. And if you're being reminded that you're white, is by a black person who doesn't have any power to stop you from advancing. So
Right.
yeah, you can say, oh, I wish it would just go away. You know what? I don't wake up with that reality, because I'm going to be reminded. You know, and so a lot of what I say, if not all of what I was saying in those records, it's all still relevant.
Mm-hmm.
And I have a line on a new song that I'm doing with these guys from out in West Virginia. I say, I'm working aware that my fight certainly has to be twice urgent than that of a white person. You know, like, I have to work twice as hard to get the same type of respect that a white person may get, who's just presenting something that people are thinking is cool.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like, I am years of practice, and I'm where I'm at. And there's some people who I know who are white, who don't have all these years of practice, who are, you know, considered uh, peers right next to
Mm-hmm.
me. And I'm like, I got 15, 20 years on homeboy. You know what I'm saying? So, and maybe what I did helped pave the way for him. I don't know. You know, there's always that type of talk. But, you know, in actuality, in reality, I feel like some of the events over the past 4 or 5 years have shown that the things I said in Minnesota Mean were not made up in my head. They were true. You know, the police brutality that we've had some of the worst, if not the worst. The one worst case that anybody has ever been able to cite happened here, and that was George Floyd. Before that, the Philando Castile one was horrendous. Like, people in different countries and states and all over the world are still talking about Philando. Like, we've had two of the worst police brutality incidences in the history of police brutality, and they happened in Minnesota. Like, there's something to be said about our culture that is very underhandedly not spoken about. And I was onto it when I was doing Minnesota Mean. I was onto it. I was catching wind of it, but I didn't know that it was going to be. I didn't know it was going to present itself so blatantly as it has in the past few years.
I feel like there's this kind of grotesque notion that really kind of clings on for dear life. You know, like because we're here in progressive Minneapolis, you know, we don't see race or we don't see racism, meaning we don't want to talk about it as white people. And that's such a, you know, you see it all the time on Facebook, wherever.
Oh yeah.
You know, Twitter.
Yep. I have some friends that call it race book. They're like, I'm turning off race book for a month.
It certainly seems like some of the worst, most toxic elements are like bubbling up to the surface on Facebook, especially.
I think the proof is in the actions that have come about, you know, and you know, let's stop saying, let's stop talking about it and it'll go away. Or this one I really want to I don't see color. Really? It's okay to see color, because it's okay to notice the nuances in all races. It's about how you react or don't react to those differences. The color is not the issue. It's the people who take note of the color and how they react to the color. So why is it that people can feel like white people feel like they can exonerate themselves from being racist by saying, I don't see color? Like, it's okay to see color. It's about how you deal with seeing color. That's not the issue. You know, the issue isn't the fact that you see me as black. It's how you see me because I'm black. Those are two different things. It's almost the same statement, but it's not, you know? So that's probably what that right there, you know, what I was probably talking about. It's like, it's not enough to say you don't see color. You need to get out there and talk to white people, because when white people hear black people talk about racism, it sounds like this. That's what it sounds like in white people's ears when black people talk about it. We're just complaining. Why would you be complaining when you have a career as a black person? Why would you be complaining about anything when you have representation in Congress? Why would you be complaining about being black and racism or whatever when we had a black president? Why would you? Really? Those are the things that have happened in our times that are proof that racism doesn't exist anymore. Get the fuck out of here. I don't know if we can swear, but no, I'm not buying it. I'm not buying it, man. I'm not buying it. So yeah, when white people stop hiding behind that, I'm not racist because I have a black friend, you know, I have a black neighbor, or I don't see color. When y'all stop hiding behind that and you're able to not only accept what black people say their experiences are around racism as gospel, you know, did that really happen? Why would you ask that? I just told you it really happened. Why do you have to ask? Oh, no, that didn't happen, did it? Really? Oh, okay, so I'm lying. Oh, I'm just making this up. You know, when black people talk about issues surrounding racial injustice, white people need to be able to hear that as truth. You need to be able to acknowledge that, or not. and then you get called racist. So if you don't want to be racist, acknowledge. If you want to be racist, keep doing the same stuff you're doing and denying that racism exists. And keep not confronting other white people. Because when white people confront other white people, I feel like, I'm not white, but I feel like it probably reaches the target that it's supposed to reach in a white person's mind a lot more than when they hear me saying it. I'm just complaining. I don't have a reason. There's a lot of black millionaires. Why would I say anything about racism when there's so many black people with so much money and blah 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 blah? You know, that's what they hear.
Well, yeah, there's so many parts to dissect there, but it just we're still kind of stuck with this issue of, you know, white people hear a discussion of racism and like they immediately jump to the defense, which obviously short circuits the part of your brain that you need to have a discussion with somebody.
Don't over personalize it. Stop and listen to what's being said, and whatever applies to you, take heed to it and change it. If it doesn't apply to you, you don't need to get defensive about it or say anything. It's like, well, that ain't about me. You know, and keep it moving. Or figure out what part of it is about you and what part of it is about you that was created by you playing shelter. You know, you're claiming you've never thought like that. Oh, I've never seen, no. Nope. Think about the things you have done that fed into it. Instead of saying, I've never done this before, that can't be me. Think about how microaggressions you've participated in or put out there have contributed to a person feeling like they've been done a racial injustice. You know, like think about what you did do, because that'll change more than you thinking about or you saying to yourself, you've never done it and you're in the clear. Because if you've never done it and you're in the clear, you can't possibly relate to what it was like as a black man to watch George Floyd die for 9 minutes. You can't. No matter how many protests you go out and do, no matter how many rubber bullets you get hit with, you cannot know what it's like. You won't know. But you can sympathize and empathize with the people who do know and go out and speak that story in front of other white people who need to hear it. That is something you can do. You know, so that's you know, and that's another thing about the Minnesota nice thing that I noticed was, you know, Minnesotans went out and fought. You know, like they didn't just sit at home when the Floyd thing happened. You know, they went and took down the 3rd precinct. You know, I never thought I would see a time in my life where a police station was burned down. You know, and I'm not going to tell you my opinions on it. I'm going to just say that. I'm going to just leave that at that. If somebody wants to know something else, you can interview me about that. But I feel like all of that bottled up, you know, I can't be aggressive, kind of powder kegged and blew up. And then Minnesotans went out there and got it in. White people too, went out there and got it in the name of justice for Floyd. So there's something to be said about that passively. Like we were some of the most aggressive stuff jumped off here first. So it's still playing into the whole, it's still showing proof of the whole concept of Minnesota nice, Minnesota mean, passive aggressiveness, bottling up whatever it is you have in here because you're fearful that somebody's going to react because of it. And then when it's let out in such a way that's explosive. You know, you can't take that back. You know, it's like bottling up your emotions. Once that one thing happens that triggers you to actually blow up, everything that you held in is going to blow up, be part of the blow up with what just happened. And then it's going to be more catastrophic. And that's what I feel like, I could be wrong, but I kind of feel like that happened. That was kind of something that we saw visually, you know, in those riots or protests. I'm going to use the word protest. And anybody who wants to call it a riot or looting, you can after that. And if you want to talk to me more about it, you can interview me about that. But, you know, it was protests and people going out there to fight for justice because something happened that should never have happened. And it turned into what it turned into. But guess what? We didn't write the manual for this. You know, we didn't, what is that song? The fire. We didn't start the fire. We didn't start this fire. You know, black people didn't start this fire. You know, we've just inherited it, and now we gotta see what the deal is with it. We gotta deal with it in the way it comes natural to us.
Mm-hmm. It's interesting. I've never heard that, you know, anyone link those two ideas before, of like the you know, when the protest sparked around the 3rd precinct, and then just like maybe that some of that energy didn't just come from people being stuck at home during COVID, but it was like, you know, things that they weren't by the culture like allowed to talk about for years and years. You know,
all of those things, man. I think, you know, things don't happen in a bubble. It's all influence. You know, I think we can't talk about this because whatever reason people don't talk about things, or the people who have tried to talk about it and felt like they were never heard. In addition to, man, we can't do nothing because it's COVID, we lost jobs or whatever. Mm-hmm. To, man, we just watched a human being die in front of us for 9 minutes. We like, it was all bound to happen that way. You know, it turned, the protests happened, and mm-hmm. I don't think they would have happened had the other things and the way our culture is designed to operate here in Minnesota. It wouldn't have happened like that. I don't think it would have happened to that extent. Mm-hmm. Because, you know, it was pretty severe for a very progressive state. That the reactions were pretty severe for us to be who we claim to be as Minnesotans.
I see what you mean.
You see what I mean? That was pretty, you know, that was pretty bam for people who are looked at like this. You know, so what do you, I mean, am I tripping, or do you agree?
No, I totally agree. I mean, we seems like, you know, Minneapolis especially, we very much pride ourselves on being this like kind of hipster progressive utopia, and there's a lot of that is a facade in a lot of ways too. So, you know,
yep.
As far as inequity and, you know, injustice.
Oh, yeah. That's a whole nother, to start talking about inequities and all of the things that I've been reading and hearing about now. There's so many things. So many things. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Let me just say that. So many things.
Well, I would love to like get in depth for a lot longer than the time we have here.
We can do another one some other time. Let's do a part 2.
Yeah, I would love that. So I have to ask, where can people find, you know, your latest material online, if it's videos or your records or your merchandise?
My website, CARNAGETheExecutioner.com. My store is filled with stuff you can pick up. You can contact me, info@CARNAGETheExecutioner.com, for rare merchandise that's not on my website. I have some stuff that's a lot cooler than some of the stuff that's on my website that's not on my website. So if you want some of that, holler at me. I do a weekly thing on my Instagram and on my Facebook called Mouth Beat Mondays. I always just post some type of, you know, mouth related or created beat every Monday. I'm on almost 60 now, so I'm gonna keep going. You know, you can go back and watch them all and listen to them all, and see the progression in the beats and stuff that I'm doing out there. It's a lot of collaborations, a lot of different types of things, live performances, old beats, cover songs. It's just kind of fun to put that stuff out there. Twitter, at Carnage XXXL, IG, Carnage the Executioner. YouTube, all my music videos are on YouTube, so you can watch them out there, and I have some really good music videos, especially the ones for this Ravenous album, are really good. Eat to Live, the Ravenous music video, Not Just a Name, and It's Still Work, are all videos that I have for this album. And I'm debating on doing another one. I might do a Success Story, might be my last single for this album. So I think, and that song is a culmination of me saying, look, I've gone through all this and I was here, and now I'm here, and I feel good about what I have. I might not have this, but I have this, and I've succeeded because I was expected to not succeed, and look where I'm at now. So that's kind of, I think that's a really good way to end cap the Ravenous journey. It would be a good way to kind of be like, yeah. So yeah, you might get a new video from your boy Carnage off the Ravenous album. But yeah, hit me up. I always give little freebies and little cool stuff with merchandise. And I do live streams. I have some coming up that I haven't necessarily announced or planned yet. But if you want a live stream and you want it to be special and you want it to be, you know, something that you call the concept on, hit me up. I might do it. You know, I'm that open. You know, so let's make it happen.
That's fabulous. I'll put links to all of your, you know, your website and Instagram and Twitter handle, all that stuff in the video. But people should definitely go check it out and go check out the I think 4 YouTube videos for Ravenous at the moment.
Yep,
which are like beautifully shot and delightful and dark and strange and also have sci-fi and like zombie elements.
Horror, all of that.
Yeah, they're great. So
but
go
hey,
check them out.
It's fun. It adds character to the story, and even the album cover for Ravenous, that beast. Have you seen, like, the beast? It is me. But the thing about that is the beast is symbolic of what I am trying to not be. It's not a glamorization. It's like, don't be this. So yeah, there's another little bit. I'm ravenous, you know, but sometimes being that could be a hindrance, depending on what area you're using your ravenousness in. And that's what that beast and that's what the record is about.
Gotcha.
Yeah, so yeah, like that element had to be in there in order for that record to have the potency, because that beast is what kind of was the beginning of the motivation, because I wrote the song and then we did the music video for it, and my director Paul from Killing Joke Films, shout out to him, he's the one who turned me into that beast. And then when the beast happened, it was like, oh, like I need to be able to recall this at some particular moment, some other time. So I always had it in the back of my head to use that as some type of symbolism. And look, it became a whole concept 4 years later, 4 years after the video was shot, three or 4 years after the video was shot. Yeah, 3 or 4 years. I'm trying to remember. Yeah, I think I wrote the song in 2014, shot the video in 2015. It didn't come out until 2018. So a lot of things had changed, but the movement caught up to itself by then. You know, the movement was ahead of its time at first, you know, and then it caught up to itself. It's crazy how things work, but if you're not self-reflective, you won't even see those cues. You won't even see those things coming together. So look at me, I just started talking again. But yeah, I just wanted to kind of put that out there that, yeah, it all goes hand in hand. And I think people should listen to the record and you know, watch the videos and really pay attention to all that symbolism and listen to what it is you can get out of that, because Ravenous is a very motivational record. You know, it's not meant to, I do as much criticizing of where I was of myself as I do talking about how good I am. I think it's probably evenly matched. You get Carnage the Executioner, and then you get Terrell. You get even amounts of it, I feel like.
Yeah, it's fabulous. Everybody should go, at the very least, check out the Not Just a Name video, because it's
That's
great.
The one.
There's a surprise ending that I don't really want to spoil here, but is much darker, having heard what you just said about it. That does involve the Ravenous Beast.
Yes,
and it's great. So go check.
Yeah, that ending was crazy. When he told me he wanted to do that, I was like, "Oh, yeah." We did it in one take too. It was crazy.
Really?
Yeah, the ending was like, to execute it the way we did. It was one take. We did that execution of the way it ended was one take. I don't know how it happened like that, but it happened. And it was less me than it was everybody else who played the part in that. But that was like we did that once, and it was like, oh, we got it.
Wow.
Yep. That was the end. Yep. Yeah, I want to throw something at you that's a kind of cool connection that you might not have fathomed or known. I got hooked up with you through Deborah G. And Deborah G, it was the final reason that I started looping. I played a show with her in 2005, and it was myself and Desdemona, and we were doing regular songs, and I was beatboxing for her. Bill Mike was on that bill too. It was actually Bill Mike's show, and he invited me to perform with him. No, it was Bill Mike's show. He invited Desdemona to perform at it, and Desdemona invited me to perform with her. We did our show, then I met Bill Mike, and then we fell in love, and then we've been working together ever since. And Deborah G was also on that bill because Bill Mike booked her. So out of that, me and Desdemona stepped up our game. I started working with Bill Mike, and I saw Deborah G looping. She had the Boss RC20, and she was, you know, looping herself. And then I was totally blown away, and I was like, this just changed my life. She took off her earring, and she hit it up against her guitar to make a percussion sound and looped it. And then I was just like, I'm done. And when I saw her do that, that's when I was like, I got to get a loop pedal. And that's what motivated me to get a loop pedal. It took me to the next level. So yeah, shout out to Deborah G, because she was a huge component that made that happen. So yeah,
that's awesome.
You didn't know
Deborah is fabulous. I would never have known that.
No, she's
I'll
ill.
have to ask her about that.
I don't know if she knew that at the time that it was that much of an influence, but yeah, when I do interviews, I have to kind of put that out there when people say, "Why did you start looping?" And it's crazy that you're connected with me through her. I had to put that in there.
Yeah, I mean, she has taught for a long time at the House of Music where you know Mike Michael teaches and a lot of other people. So that's awesome. Took off her earring and hit it against the guitar. I've never seen that.
I don't know if she ever did it after that, but when I saw that, I was like, I'm done. I need to do that. No more performance or regular tracks. I need to do that.
You know, for anybody out there who has not experimented with a loop pedal before, you probably don't realize kind of how much practice it takes. It's not like, you know, programming a track of yourself. If you're off, your mistake is very public if you're performing. Because it keeps coming around on you again and again.
Yep, you have to perfect it. And I watched her show me that she perfected it right there, and I was like, "What? I mean, I can't be bad at this now. Like, you know, I have to be good at this because look who else is doing, like Bill Mike, like Mike Michael is like, I'm performing with him. I can't be whack. I perform with Idea. I can't be whack. I did stuff with Desdemona. We had a group. I can't be whack. I gotta come with it."
Well, Terrell, thanks so much again for taking the time, and this was super fabulous.
Thank you for having me. But let me know if you ever want to do a part 2. We can continue. We can, you know, there's definitely more to talk about, as you can see.